On everyone's mind is the huge dump that has been happening now for weeks, but it just got a lot more dumping over this past weekend and this morning. What does this all mean? Is Bitcoin going towards zero, or is it going towards 200,000? Really, what does this add up to from today, and how to make sense of it? Well, there's no better day to talk about that than today, because, man, it's painful, right? We're also going to talk about a system that helps achieve high gains and not get wrecked, even on days like today. And do I still believe that rainmakers are going to make it rain in their own financial futures? Am I personally worried? Am I concerned? Well, today I'm going to share with you my thoughts on this massive correction. We're also going to finalize a winner from last week's Wanchain giveaway. I did have a family emergency this past weekend, and it was a great family emergency, but I had to go out of town and take care of some things, and am now back with you. Welcome to the Crypto Rain channel. I'm your host, Jay Rain, and if you like money in crypto and are looking for a real investor take on the crypto market, join the Rainmaker family by liking this video and subscribing with that all notifications bell enabled. Special note, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm a crypto investor myself, sharing with you how I think about the crypto market, specific cryptos I like. I retired this past April because of crypto, even though I waited long after I could have retired. Note, I do own or plan to own most of what I talk about on this channel because I don't talk about crypto projects that I don't believe in and that I don't find attractive enough that I will personally invest in them. We do want to thank our Patreon members that have joined us on this journey. We do a Patreon pre-stream on Fridays that you can join, as well as our gold members and diamond members get a lot of extra attention. Now, it is a closed group. It's not public, and there are things there I can discuss even further than what I'm able to here. You don't have to join it, though. I do give tons of alpha on here and my thoughts. Now, there is something at the beginning of this video that often says this has sponsored content on it. That's because of our strategic relationship with Wanchain and also Kitsumon, who have been good to us, and they give us goodies to give away to our family. Specifically, Wanchain gives us 500 won every month to give away to the audience, and Kitsumon is going to load us up with some NFTs to give to this audience in the coming weeks. Now, this week, stay tuned because we will be doing another Wanchain giveaway, as well as the details for the winners from last week's entry. So join us, strap in for the show. Let's welcome our producer D-Money joining me in the Crypto Rain Command Center.
Okay, what's up, Jay? Before I change our view, I'm worried I'm going to lose sound, so let's...
Yeah.
We're going back because
Hold
there's
on
no
just a sec.
audio.
He's
So
gotta...
pretty much every time that we change views, we're going to lose audio for like 2 seconds. So sorry about that, guys. Gosh,
we were
dang
retooling it with this really cool slider you see at the bottom. We got all the prices for a lot of the stuff that we're interested in.
Yeah, and people are loving it in the chat, so that's awesome. A lot of cool, amazing overlay. 158 beats says, and so that's good to see. Nines in.
Go ahead and switch it and add it. Let's just go through the pane and get it out of the way so the audience can see.
Okay, so we should have sound there.
We got audio.
Yep, and now let's do it one more time.
We'll see.
Yeah,
you guys tell us if the audio is delayed.
I don't think that. Yeah, is the audio delayed or is it just gone, guys?
The bottom of the ticker is cut off for them. Let me see what I'm seeing in. No, I see it.
Do you see it on? You're looking at YouTube.
Yeah,
over there?
I'm looking at YouTube on the computer, so I don't know what you're seeing on the phone, but yeah, ticker is good for me.
Shoot. Yeah. Well, that sucks if you're on your phone, maybe.
If you have your cursor over it, you can't see the bottom of it, but it shows the percentages. But I'm seeing it. I don't know what's going on for those that are having trouble with it.
Okay, cool. When you switch between, yeah, 158 says when you switch between scenes, the sound is muted 100%. We know that that's going to happen. So I've got like 2 more scenes that'll probably do that, and then yeah, we'll just get through it. So let's go ahead and start the proverbial party, and then
do it.
yeah, thanks again. Yeah, Roto said the same thing. So here we
Join me, Rainmakers. All right, we got sound. I am so excited to be with you today. Now, important note, millionaires are made when markets are down, not when they're up. But you may be asking, what do I do on a day like today if I'm fully deployed in crypto right now? I have no fiat on the sidelines. I know many of you are in that situation. Well, if you are in that situation, there are a few options with that. Now, option number 1, and this is the option some people take. They ring the I quit bell. They walk away to the warm comfort of not accomplishing their financial independence. Many choose this option because the path to financial independence is hard. Crypto can get you there faster than anything I've seen, but anyone who says this is easy just has completely wrong expectations. And if they have wrong expectations, they usually bail out at this point, and this is where the term weak hands comes in. Now, option number 2 is patience and tenacity. Remember, I've been saying I thought there would be more pain ahead. This is that more pain. I think right at the end of January, we start a long, amazing, incredible ride up. Now, if you are fully deployed, unfortunately, you have no extra capital to deploy at these amazing prices. But if you do, consider yourself fortunate because everything is on massive clearance prices. Now, do I still believe rainmakers are going to make it rain their own financial futures? Am I worried? Am I personally concerned? The answers to that is yes. I still believe rainmakers are going to make it rain in their own financial futures. And to the other two, no and no. Now let me show you the Bitcoin chart. We're going to look at Bitcoin because it has so much of a predictive indicator on what the alts might do, and also has the most history. So even though I look at Bitcoin...
And we're going to lose audio for just a second, guys, so just bear with.
And we got audio. Perfect. Now, even though I don't hold tons of Bitcoin myself, I'm in the much more risky alts. Bitcoin, I always look at it because it gives us the best prediction of what's going to happen. So way back here, we got savaged. And we're going to talk about this day here because there's a lot of parallels. And then it started this long climb that went all the way to about 65,000, then retraced all the way to 30,000. All the way back up to almost 70,000, and then, wow, we're right here again today. That's frustrating, right? So let's go into comparison between March 2020 and today, because I believe we're at, there are a lot of comparisons, and I believe we're near the bottom. Now, we might see a little more pain, and I expect we're going to start heading the right direction at the end, the very end of this month. So how the next few days look like, I really don't know. But let me share with you the last time it hit this. Now, this was the bear market. This was a very odd bear market. It did not play out in any type of predictable pattern, other than much cheaper prices than they are now. Now, this bull run is also playing out on its very own tune, however, with some similarities to this past crypto winter. Let me show you. So here we're supposed to be in the crypto winter, and predictably it corrected really low, right? And it went all the way down to about 3,100 right here. So I've got the little indicator that says low. And then what the F was this? All the way about 14,000. This had me so thrown off because I was like, it shouldn't be pumping like this. We're in the middle of the crypto winter. What is this? And it still did anyway. And then I was like, okay, this crypto winter is acting weird, but like, yeah, so I was dollar cost averaging in here. And then, oh my gosh, it went all the way down to here. So it had this mid crypto winter pump. that suck, because it would have been easier if it stayed down so like this, because I could have kept dollar cost averaging in at these really low prices. When you get thrown off by something like this, you don't know what to do other than just dollar cost average in more. Now here we were at 10,000, then we dumped down to about 8,000, and then we dumped to about 7,600, which we all thought was the low that we were going to hit, and we were off to some really good times. And then this happened. We got absolutely savaged, and basically because of the Rona, a lot of businesses were closing, and the stock market got savaged. And when the stock market got savaged, well, guess what got savaged even more? The crypto markets. So why does that happen? Why is stock and crypto correlated? Well, it shouldn't be correlated, but should is an interesting word, isn't it? It is correlated, and over time it might decouple more, but if you think about it, a lot of people get excited because institutional investors are coming into crypto. It is exciting, especially as the world gets more invested into crypto. But with institutional investors getting invested into crypto, what happens when they need to have more liquid capital on the books? What do they usually sell first? Well, if it's on the weekend, guess what? Stock market's closed. So what are they going to liquidate very first? Their crypto positions. What did we see this weekend? We saw a huge drop like this, didn't we? I mean, man, that was huge. All the way here from 42,000, we've gone all the way down to 32,000. So we've lost huge. Now, we did see something like that here. In fact, even bigger. And I'm not convinced that it won't dump for a few more days. I really think our journey upwards really starts right around the end of this month, early February. And then we're off to a long climb, much as what we saw here. Now, back to this date. I mean, this was painful. It took, well, like to give you some context, so this was the crypto winter, and, you know, a lot of the system that I share with you that I developed, it came from just watching patterns and what happened. So on this day, my portfolio was completely savaged and completely wrecked, and yet it's totally okay. This same thing happened to me that's happening today way back in March of 2020, and by 1 year later it was worth well over $1 million. Even after this happened, it took my portfolio to a fraction of what I had put in during the bear market, and it was a very frustrating place to be, much as you guys are probably feeling now, mostly because if I had had all that cash on the sidelines, I could have put it in at these really cheap prices. And that was the biggest frustrating thing to me, because I FOMO in at the bottoms and I panic sell at the tops. And that took a while for me to rewire my brain to think that way. So I guess the point of that is, 1 year after the last time the crypto market got completely savage like this, so this is March 2020. Let's look at where we were March 2021. Holy smoly, in a whole different place, right? So this is what a year can do. Now, I don't think we have a full year left in this bull run. I think in the next 6 months, we're going to see some amazing things. And so from here, it took kind of a while before it really took off. So it reached this level and then played around at this 8,000 to 9,000 range for forever, and then it went absolutely parabolic. So here we hit a previous low, we went up, kind of like what happened in the middle of the bear market here. See how we hit this low? What the F is this pump? Low. Here was low. What the F was this pump? And then we're right back here, right? So same general pattern. But then I think we're off to some really good things ahead. Now, why am I so positive that Bitcoin is still going to hit record numbers? And when Bitcoin hits those record numbers, altcoins go crazy? Well, that comes from this, the Bitcoin stock to flow ratio. Now, at the end of the day, Bitcoin continues going up because people perceive its value. What drives its value? Number one, the trust in fiat currency continues to diminish. Number two, it has better properties than gold in many ways for storage of value. And so every year, more and more people buy into the concept of Bitcoin because of the loss of trust in government-created fiat currencies. And so the value that people perceive of Bitcoin, because there's a fixed supply. Now, there is more printing that goes on every 10 minutes as they mint new blocks on the blockchain. Some Bitcoin is given as a reward, but every 4 years, that reward amount gets cut in half. And so the stock-to-flow ratio model is quantifying what is the true value of Bitcoin versus where its price is. And so this thin blue line is the true value of where Bitcoin usually or should be, given what its perceived value is versus the supply. And then this is where the real price is. So when it hits lows, this is what happened in March, where it hit, well, that was, there we go. This was 2019. This is 2020 right here, where it hit this really low that's not fully reflected. The price went a lot lower than 6,200. There it has 4,900. It went even lower than that. And see how it dipped down below this level and then went up. And look, we're far down below where this level is. So it has the real value being likely around $108,000 per Bitcoin right now. Where is the value today? Well, presently it's sitting at 35,000, close to 36,000. So fair to say we're way under that line. Now, what usually happens, because people are so emotional as human beings, when the price starts going up, that's when everybody starts FOMOing in. And we often pump well above this line, and likely will pump up to anywhere from 180,000 up to 350,000 for Bitcoin. Now, the reason I'm in altcoins is because even from that point, if it hit, say, 350,000, that would almost be a 10x from here. The reason I'm in altcoins is because usually during that time frame, a lot of the risky altcoins that I'm in, they have a chance to do 20x, 50x, or 100 or 150x. Now, I might get lucky, have a few do 100x, 150x, and some other ones just do like 15x or 20x. The reason I'm in those is because the average between them will be much closer to 25 to 50x, whereas Bitcoin during that time, if it hits that top part, and that's if, that's still about a 9 to 10x from here. So that's just the choice of how I play my portfolio and the risks that I take. So you can think of today as terrible, or you can think this week and any more blood that may come as the beginning of the future you've really been waiting for. Now, one of the things I try to do on this channel is to set proper expectations, because expectations that are realistic help people, expectations realistically. So what, boy, today and talking, it's going really well for me, right?
You're sounding great, man. No worries.
So the reason I try to set expectations realistically is so that people who take the time to tune in don't get washed out because of wrong expectations. Now, I call our rainmakers the Navy SEALs of crypto, because Navy SEAL training is mostly emotionally grueling and devastating. It's designed to wear people out so that roughly just under 5% or so of the people that start actually make it. Isn't that really what you've been seeing in crypto? It's right about those numbers. About 5% stick around for the long term, and that 5% makes tremendous gains. So how is it that I can help the audience stay in that 5%? Well, a lot of that comes through setting realistic expectations. Now, if you think about it logically, it really isn't that hard to stick around in crypto. And it isn't really hard to do well. You simply buy low and then you wait till it hits huge highs and sell. Simple, right? But simple isn't easy. And the reason is because the market plays with our emotions. And so a week in crypto feels like a month in crypto feels like a year, and 4 years in crypto feels like a decade or two. But the truth is, they aren't that long. Every one of you can make it, and the reason this show is designed the way it is to help set proper expectations so as many of you can do it well as possible. Realizing, though, that we are human, and many people will still just give up, and but with proper expectations, my guess is many less will give up. Now, the great news is that those of you who make it through the next month and don't panic sell out, it's going to be a wild ride. and I'm really looking forward to the stories of life-changing wealth just from this cycle alone, and to hear the stories from each of you on how much you cast out and put on the sidelines into great passive income solutions. That's going to be exciting. And isn't that what we're here for? And we're closer to that goal today because of this big correction than you realize. So this pain had to come to wipe out as much as it can, because remember, the market takes the most amount of money from the most amount of people. It's caught a lot of people off guard. I didn't know it would be this savage. I suspected it might be, but I didn't know for sure. And sure enough, it played out really, really savagely, and maybe even a little bit more. And then we're off to some great climbs. What are you thinking and feeling today, D?
Well, admittedly, not to make things all about me or whatever, I had a huge, I mean, you know this, but I had a huge issue in my house over the weekend. I had like this enormous flood in my basement. And so it was one of those things where like I was so preoccupied with like, with what was going on at my house that like over the weekend I was just like, every once in a while I'd like look at my phone and look at the market and be like, yep, I guess so, and then like and then just go back to like drilling concrete or like jackhammering out crap in my basement to get to this issue. And so right now, I mean, I'm feeling a little bit exhausted, but like that's like from the house plus this what's been going on for the past few days. I'm just like all right, well, let's just kind of see what the next little while brings. It's almost like I guess this might as well happen too, as far as the market goes.
Right.
You know what I mean?
You get punched in the gut emotionally, because dealing with a basement flooding is like such a pain.
Yeah.
You have carpets to worry about. You have other things you have to worry about. Take care. It always comes as an emergency and a surprise. And so you got double surprised over this last week.
Yeah, and it is what it is. And I like what Web Zombies just said, hey, no stress here. And Troy McDrains, is he saying McDrains? Is that like, is he trying to make fun of me or something, that my drains are all messed up? No, I'm just kidding. But he says, I've got nothing else to do. Might as well just accumulate and wait. If I quit crypto, the time goes by anyway. Might as well see where this goes.
Absolutely. This great philosophy to have. Dak says, making it rain. Dak just joined our admin family, and he has been a great help with our Twitter. Thank you, Dak. I love all the Omi fans in here. I am so bullish on what Omi's going to do over the coming 3 to 6 months. It is going to melt faces.
Yeah, I'm just like, Omi will melt faces, not you, says.
Yep. Absolutely.
Hey,
Anna Maria's got diamond hands. Great job.
Yeah, and someone asked, where did that comment go? But they basically asked if you own everything, or all the coins you show on the screen, all part of your portfolio.
Some of these are just
20.
the top ones, right?
Yeah.
I don't own ICP. I have no plans to. I own 8X, Gaia, Wanchain, Omi, Solend, Kopi, KMC, Spores. Yep, I own all of those. KMC on massive discount. Might even get a little bit more. We'll talk about that in a second. DAO, Soulbank. So a ton of these I own, especially like the altcoins that are way down. Yes. A lot of what I talk about on the channel, I'm in almost everything I talk about on the channel, because they're the ones that I believe in, that I like the narrative, I like the timing, and I usually share with you, like sometimes I don't like the timing. When it goes way, way up, that's when I want to take profits. And then when it gets really, really cheap, that's when I like to buy. Well, so one of the things that I did during the bear market that helped me survive, because it does get really boring, is I invested in some fun crypto gaming NFTs. Notably, it was this new project called Axie Infinity and Gods Unchained, because it was honestly very boring to look at all these they weren't so much layer, they were third generation blockchains and some other ideas in the altcoins that were out there. And so this new project Axie Infinity and this new idea Gods Unchained, that was more like a card game on the computer, came out. And would you know, both of these actually did terribly for quite a while. Axie Infinity did terrible for like a solid 2 years. Gods Unchained actually did pretty good out of the gate and then did terribly for like the following 2 years before they then did amazing numbers. But they were fun, and I liked the narrative and the direction, and it all made sense to me. It was a speculative bet. But Axie, my little 4K investment in Axie Infinity turned into about 400,000 from what I realized with it. I still have a little bit that I haven't realized with it, mostly land items. And with Gods Unchained, so far I've turned my 8K investment into 100,000 that's been realized, and still have about 100,000 left in Gods Unchained in their Genesis cards. Now, those are in the past. A lot of the gains have been made there. I don't think Axie is near the investment it was, just because it's realized a lot of its gains. Gods Unchained might realize some more. It's about 25x from what I put into it. I think it'll have higher numbers. But I like the stuff that's more at the beginning of their journey. So let me share with you some fun things that I personally think is going to do really well. First is Cornucopia. You know that I'm bullish on this game, and they have some NFTs launching. Might be as soon as this Friday. It might be early next week. But you got a little teaser here on their Twitter. So if you haven't followed them, it's at Cornucopia's game here. And check out the video where we interviewed the founders, because D can put that in the bookmark for the replay so that you can easily see the video for Cornucopia's with the founders. They're fantastic. If you think about it, NFTs on Cardano have done amazing things. Now this is going to be one of the first AAA gaming NFTs on Cardano, so I think this is going to do really, really well. And they have some other teaser stuff, so you can kind of see what's under this carpet, but they just do a fantastic job on their stuff. I'm really bullish on what this game will do. And, the Cardano community is really, really strong. And though Cardano's had its setbacks, every third generation blockchain has had its setbacks. I'm still very bullish on the Cardano ecosystem and on the Cardano token itself. Who knew that prices would get this cheap? I never suspected that Cardano would break under $1 again. So it's massively on sale again. As well as Cornucopias itself, the price for this has pulled back some. I like to see more savage pullback so I can buy even cheaper. But do notice this is a higher, like it hit a lower low. So if we're lucky, this will get even a little bit more attractive here. Who knows? Should we get so lucky? Because I like to buy cheap. I'm pretty sure most of our audience does too.
Hey Jay, that project was covered by a major YouTube channel. I don't know if you guys know. BitBoy covered Cardano, or excuse me, Cornucopias. Let's see. Go back to that chart. Where was it?
Yeah, right here. He covered it, and it pumped. So BitBoy covered it, pumped up to here. And I know you had bought cheaper, and you actually took profits. You're like, oh, major channel is covering it. Time to take profits.
Yeah, it was a classic example of that, and so I'm patting myself on the back a little bit for following that advice. But I guess the question that I have, when a major channel covers a project like this, like how likely is it that a lot of the other major channels are to follow? Like, does that put it on the radar screen of some of kind of like every big channel, and then they start looking into it and potentially they're going to continue to cover it?
Yeah, it does, and we'll hit massive momentum again. So we hit massive momentum way back in February and March, and you can look back at the charts if you weren't around and see what that looked like. And that's when things just go crazy and it compounds on itself. So we're not quite there yet. We suspected we would have. It was about the 10th of December, 7th to the 10th, that I was like, you know what, we're not going to have a December pump like we were hoping, and it's going to be a delayed market cycle. And so I suspect through the end of December won't be that great, and actually January won't be great either, right till the very, very end of January. And it's played out exactly like that. Now, that was just what the probabilities were, looking at what the charts were. I didn't know. It wasn't magic. I didn't know it would happen that way. That's just what the probabilities were indicating, and it played out the way the probabilities indicated. It doesn't always. And so what happens when things start going crazy is you do get a big channel with like 1,400,000 subscribers. It does make a difference, and then they cover something that then hits the radar of other channels that hadn't really paid attention, because one person cannot notice all that's happening in the crypto space. It's too big. So when other channels, they get an indication on that, then sometimes they jump on it and cover it. Now, we're mostly trending sideways right now and downward, because really a lot of this is driven by the stock market too. And we're still correlated with the stock market. We can decouple at some point. We haven't. And we were probably always going to have a rough January anyway. I just think the January was a little bit rougher because the Fed in the U.S. is talking about raising interest rates, which it needs to curb inflation. Now, in the crypto space, inflation is very, very good for us. Why? Because we're decoupled from what the dollar does. In fact, as the dollar does worse, then Bitcoin will do better. And if Bitcoin does really well, many altcoins will as well, right? So Bitcoin is a total hedge against inflation. And so it's good for us when inflation happens. Well, the U.S. politician and the Fed need to put the brakes on their printing of money, and they have to bring in interest rates up to curb inflation because the inflation is getting ridiculous in the U.S. And so they have to go this way. And so it's going to savage the stock market some, and then it's going to savage the stock market some more. And so we'll see how it all plays out. But at some point, even if the stock market starts really failing in March and April and May, doesn't have to continue to impact the crypto market because the stock market has been going up for a solid 8 to 12 years. It's time for a massive correction there. In fact, when it initially starts correcting, a lot of institutions sell off their crypto. But what may happen if the crypto market gets savaged this spring is that then they realize that crypto is decoupling and a lot of the money moves from equities over to the crypto market. So we'll see. Do note, though, that as we hit a lot of these highs in 2017's market, let me show these to you. They had 3 rate increases in 2017, and yet look what happened still in 2017. You had this massive rise in Bitcoin. And so this still can happen for us very strongly. Make sense? All right. Wanchain giveaway. I want to thank the great submissions for the last week's giveaway for what X rollups are on Wanchain and how they compare against optimistic rollups and ZK rollups. Now I'm going to read the 2 best submissions and I want your thoughts on the winners. So let me pull that right back up. So this one comes from Will. X rollups is a novel, great user experience layer 2 solution for ETH with focused improved characteristics in data availability, transaction validity, compatibility, scalability, and latency. It can be used to build an efficient, scalable, and user-friendly ecosystem for third-party DeFi apps. Potential use cases include payments, atomic swaps, liquidity providers, decentralized exchanges, lending, and any other application. Then he goes deeper into it. Fast comparison to optimistic and ZK rollups. Well, data availability, your optimistic ZK and X rollups all publish compressed transactions on layer 1. However, X rollups also employs a public blockchain, Wanchain, as the layer 2. The liveliness and persistence further improve data availability. Now, what's interesting about ZK rollups is how do you invest in ZK rollups? There's no chain that handles the layer 2 of that, right? So if you're excited about ZK rollups, what do you invest in? Well, Wanchain has X rollups, which basically the scaling solution, but it also has its side chain that it can publish to and something that you can actually invest in, which I like. X rollups has high compatibility because Wanchain is a fork of Ethereum, so no code changes are needed. Optimistic rollups realized throughput cap is about 450 transactions per second. ZK rollups can only do 680 transactions per second. In theory, Wanchain's X rollups can do 10,000 per second, as well as the latency. Optimistic rollups has a latency of 1 to 2 weeks. ZK rollups has a latency of 20 minutes, and X rollups have 5-minute latency. That is a great job by Will. And then we had a great submission by Paul. Paul says X rollups is Wanchain's L2 solution for ETH. Think of it as a decentralized super bridge solution that sits between ETH's L1 and Wanchain's L2 that improves scalability, transaction per second, and reduces high transaction fees due to congestion while not sacrificing ETH's security. In short, the X rollup solution Layer 2 connector handles the security, validity, and interoperability between chains. It essentially executes transactions off-chain, takes data, And ECA compresses it and rolls up to the main chain in a single batch by injecting it back into the block headers at regular intervals. Very in-depth submissions by both of them. What do you guys think about that? Did you stick with me? That was a lot of reading.
I stuck with you, and Paul gave the second one, right? And for someone like me who, is not super, I'm still relatively new in the crypto, in the crypto space. That explanation for me was like super helpful. I'm like, oh, okay, like I followed that like all the way. And the first one I was like, okay, hold on, like I would need to read through that a couple of times to process it a little bit more. And that's not to say that number 2 was better than number 1, but just coming from my own personal perspective, that helped me a little bit more.
Perfect. Yeah, I thought he explained it in a simpler, easier flow. Let's see what the audience says on that.
Yeah, we've got 2. Dak says, I agree. I understood the second one better, but the first one was impressive. And then Rhododendro said, I like the first one. It's more in-depth. 9 says he agrees with me. Good old 9.
9 is one of our admins. We love 9. He is such a great guy.
Yeah, so yeah, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, flip a coin. They were both great, but let's see if we get a couple
Let's give it a little bit more time. While we're waiting on that, I wanted to go back to the NFTs for a second. So one of our other strategic relationship with Kitsumon, if you missed the interview with them on Friday, I really like what they have going on. Now, here's where they are in their launches. So their NFTs, their initial NFT offering, started on Friday the 21st with Yay Games, the Synapse network here. So it's coming to CyberFi, which is a launchpad I'm more familiar with. And I've actually talked to the team at CyberFi. I like them a lot. So Wednesday the 26th, you can buy their NFTs there. Also, it's not until Friday the 4th on gate.io. You can get them at Swappable and Oxbow here. Then coming way down here on the public sale, but you have to hold the KMC token in order to get it. Now, thankfully, KMC is going way, way on sale. I mean, it is just like falling off a cliff here, which is good news because I like to buy way cheap. So now the way to really look at it to see what that value really is this fully diluted valuation here. Gives you a better indication of that. Now, a lot of its supply is not in circulation. In fact, most of its supply. But this gives you an idea if all of it were in supply, what that market cap would look like. So if we're lucky, it gets even more attractive in the meantime because everything's fallen off a cliff. Now, why am I bullish on this? Well, first of all, here's the initial 20 NFT eggs that they're doing. And so if you buy one, you're going to get a box and you'll get one of these 20 NFTs. Now, if this game does really well, these initial NFTs, these Generation 0 ones, will do really, really well. And so these eggs hatch into the corresponding Kitsu related to the egg and will essentially be a Generation 0 Kitsu that are then breedable. But you can't ever get these Generation 0s again. And if you look at the Origin Axie sale, those Origin Axies, even if you didn't get one with anything special on it, still go for several ETH a piece. And I think they sold at the time for roughly about, I don't know, it might have been about $100 worth of ETH back when it sold. And so I'm loving what I'm seeing on the development of this game and the rollout. If you didn't see that video with the team, they joined us on, what was it? Wednesdays
last week, yeah.
Last week's show. Another NFT thing I'm watching closely is now Openzoo.io. A lot of people don't have their eyes on this. This is Wanchain's new. This was developed by the people that run Zookeeper, and they essentially developed this NFT market. And see, they did their own thing, Zoogenes, which is going to be a racing game. Think of Mario Kart with these NFTs, and so those are tradable on here, as well as they had a lot of artists come on, and so it's really, really early days. This is high-risk stuff, but in many cases, really, really cheap too. And so I've been going through here and made a few purchases. I think I did purchase one crypto CAC, but like the entry-level price is kind of high. Let's see. We want lowest price. These were kind of cool. Yeah, but that entry level price still 2,500 zoo, which is essentially $186. But one of the things when I was looking at this, I was trying to sort by what I believed in. I didn't want popularity. I want to look at volume traded. So obviously Zoogenes is doing really well, and I did buy a few ultra rares on Zoogenes. I'll show you those in a second. I'm trying to remember whether I bought one of these or not. I did buy like 2 Zoo Punks, and then just some other random cool stuff on here, and realize that this is very highly speculative, but a lot of these things, the floor price is really cheap. And so let's see if there's one that I liked. I can show you. The floor price in some things was literally like $5 or $10, and I made some purchases in here. I did buy a Zoo Poacher. Fun stuff. The floor price is $21. So I don't know if these will do really well. They're totally a speculative bet, but my guess is they do a lot better from where they're at, especially on the stuff with the higher volume traded, because that means enough activity is going on there that maybe it has some trajectory that something happens. So just some fun, inexpensive NFT bets overall on that. I do like what's going on with Kitsumon. I really like what's going on with this one. I think of this as a less speculative bet, though it's plenty. There's definitely some risk there with NFTs, but this one, I would watch closely on this. If you've seen what some of the Cardano NFTs have done, they've done tremendously, and just think this is one of the first AAA level Cardano NFTs. So watch this one closely. Loving the Zoo Tigers. You know, we have a lot of Wanchain fans in the audience, so I'm sure a lot of you guys are very familiar with them. I don't have my wallet connected to it, so I'm trying to remember. Yeah, I don't think I bought one of these yet. They're fun. There's some of the better stuff that's on here. So their entry level price, let's see if we sort this by lowest price. Yeah, entry level price about $100 worth of Zoo right now. No, that's so interesting. 2,000 Zoo, 2,000 Zoo. That says this price is $163, and this is $100. I don't know what's driving that. That's interesting. Real quick, where I did definitely make some expensive purchases is on this, and I paid a lot for their ultra rares, but you can now see whether they're secret rare, secret rare, or the ultra rares. What difference does it make in the game? I really don't know. Obviously, they have better stats, and you can click on each of these and see their stats. And the ultra rares usually have more things going on with them. For some reason, we are not... Oh, because I'm sorting by the lowest price. Let me look at the recently listed. There we go. Not recently created, recently listed. And we'll get some ultra rares there. There we go. This is an ultra rare. And yeah, this one's asking 100,000 Zoo, which is high. Really, the entry level price on these should be about 15,000 Zoo. And you'll see like the numbers on these are higher. This has a VR accessory. Its total number of points, there we go, 7840. That's actually pretty high total number of points. So this guy's asking $5,000 for that. Yeah, that's probably not going to happen, at least at this point. This is another ultra rare. 7208 total points, but cool guy. I picked up 2 of the ultra rares over this last week. I suspect these will do really well, but we don't know. Really, it depends on how good the game is. The game is going to have 3D models of these guys. I'm really looking forward to that. That'll be cool. These ones with the invisibility go for a ton. That's actually not a terrible price for the invisibility, but especially being a secret rare. But you see that little bit of invisibility here, and if you go down here, it says ghost mode, yes. And it gives him some ghost points. So ghost mode, yes, means he's got the invisibility factor. I don't know what that will mean in the game. Maybe it'll be something extra cool that you can go into ghost mode. Don't know. Let's see what the audience is saying. Can't wait for Zoo Racers. Web Zombies is fully in touch with